For 4 years, Michelangelo had toiled on a major commission in Rome. The late Pope Julius II had commanded him to paint the ceiling of the papal chapel inside the Vatican. But the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel was 1,000 meters square. Michelangelo was convinced he was doomed to fail.
He was forced into painting the Sistine Chapel, he thought, as a kind of conspiracy against him by enemies who didn't want to see him succeed in sculpture. And so it's a great irony that the man that I think we consider the greatest artist of all time, the greatest painter of all time, never actually thought of himself as a painter.
Michelangelo resented every minute he spent on the Cappella Sistina.
This difficult position shoves my stomach up to hang beneath my chin. My loins have gone up into my belly, and I cannot see where to put my feet. And with its non-stop dripping from above, my brush makes my face a richly decorated floor.
He knew he was a genius. He didn't suffer fools gladly, and the word that was most often used to describe him was terribilità, which is terribleness, in the literal sense of striking terror into other people.
Working in secret, a small group of long-suffering assistants helped Michelangelo with the most demanding work.
With fresco, you have anywhere from 12 to 24 hours to create your masterpiece. The word fresco means fresh, and it refers to the plaster you're painting on fresh, i.e. wet plaster. And plaster, especially on a hot day in Italy, dries fairly quickly. So it really is a race against the clock. Fresco was regarded as the most difficult method of painting. It was said that many painters could master painting in oil, but only the very best could succeed at fresco. After a number of years on the scaffold, he was a true master, a real virtuoso. He was able to paint enormous scenes in a single day.
Michelangelo covered the ceiling with around 300 figures and stories from the Bible, among them the flood, the origin of the stars, and the creation of Adam. Michelangelo's monumental figures were based on fragments of classical sculptures and inspired by the perfection and beauty of the ancient world. Out of reluctance and frustration, Michelangelo had crafted brilliance, arguably the greatest work of art of the Renaissance. But could it shelter him from the wrath of the family he had deserted?
Michelangelo was always very fearful for his political life. He would take to his heels at the faintest whiff of gunpowder. He was fearful of reprisals against him because he, of course, had found himself in with the regime that replaced the Medicis.
Michelangelo was the greatest artist of the age, and his art was often used by others for political gain. At the Pope's command, over the altar of the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo had created the finest fresco of his career, the Last Judgment. But his masterpiece was greeted with shock. Michelangelo had filled his fresco with nudes. Church conservatives were appalled. Still reeling from Martin Luther's attack on their authority, they now cracked down on artistic freedom. And Michelangelo's fresco was declared indecent.
It was a most dishonest act to have painted so many naked figures, revealing their shameful parts. It is not a work for a papal chapel, but for a bathhouse or a brothel.
The church demanded corrections, hiring a new artist to add modesty to Michelangelo's masterpiece. The artist was nicknamed Braghettone, large underpants man. Michelangelo was not impressed.
Let His Holiness attend to the reform of the world. Reforming a painting is too easily done.